Welcome to the next stop on this virtual tour. This is Kirsten McDade with Resources speaking. We are located on the landing between South State Street and the railroad tracks. Right in front of us, we have a very large concrete gas tank that is now fully engulfed with ivy. With me now is John Guenther, who works for the Department of Ecology. He is the site manager for this cleanup site and is going to explain how this area of the site will be cleaned up. Hi, John. Thank you for helping us with this virtual tour. Before we start with the technical aspects of this tour stop, could you give us a real quick overview of what exactly are the responsibilities of a site manager?
Thanks, Kirsten, and welcome everyone to this virtual site tour for the South State Street Manufactured Gas Plant Site Draft Cleanup Action Plan. I am John Guenther, and I've been working as a hydrogeologist with the Washington State Department of Ecology for about 7 years. As a site manager with Ecology's Toxics Cleanup Program, I'm responsible for the day-to-day oversight and management of some of the cleanup sites in Ecology's Northwest region. For a formal site like this, a site that is being cleaned up under a formal legal agreement between the responsible parties and Ecology, I ensure that the obligations of the legal agreement are being met by the responsible parties, in this case, the City of Bellingham and Puget Sound Energy. These obligations typically include conducting field work and preparing technical reports according to a schedule that is laid out in the legal agreement. It is my responsibility to review the technical reports for accuracy, use of best available science, and compliance with the state's cleanup regulations, the Model Toxics Control Act, or MOTCA, and the Sediment Management Standards, or SMS.
Great, thanks, John. So now, can you tell me what is going to happen to this large gas tank during the cleanup?
The ivy-covered concrete tank that we see today is one of 3 former gas holders that were used at different times while the gas plant was in operation. The tanks were used to store manufactured gas. They would be filled with gas as it was produced, and the gas would be contained by a floating steel lid, like an inverted steel cup that was suspended by cables and pulleys. As the pressure of the gas was increased during gas production, or decreased during distribution into the city's distribution lines, the steel lid would rise and fall. Over time, residue in the form of coal tar might accumulate on the bottom of these gas holders. As part of the upland cleanup, this concrete structure will be demolished and removed. We don't know what we will find inside, but we have anecdotal information that it had been emptied and filled with soil. So the plan is to demolish and remove the concrete structure and be prepared to remove and dispose of coal tar if it is encountered. After the gas holder and its contents are removed, this area will be covered by a permeable vegetated soil cap to match the rest of the permeable vegetated soil cap that is planned for the area that surrounds this tank.
Great. So then, as I understand it, there used to be 2 other gas tanks at the site. Have those already been entirely cleaned up, or will there be additional cleanup with those 2?
That's right. There used to be 3 gas holders used by the gas plant at different times throughout the plant's operating lifetime. Although we don't know exactly when the other 2 tanks were located, and those areas have been fully investigated and characterized. We did find that soil beneath the locations of the other 2 tanks has been impacted, and those areas will also be addressed by the cleanup action, the permeable vegetated soil cap.
So then, after the tank and contents are removed, what will be done to the rest of this upland area of the cleanup site?
The cleanup action selected for the entire upland portion of the site will include constructing a permeable vegetated soil cap, in situ groundwater bioremediation at certain locations, monitored natural attenuation, a shoreline revetment, institutional controls, and compliance monitoring. A permeable vegetated soil cap is basically a layer of clean soil that will allow precipitation to infiltrate and also support plantings. In situ groundwater bioremediation is injecting or emplacing nutrients or other amendments into the groundwater to stimulate microbes and degrade organic contaminants. Natural attenuation is the natural degradation of contaminants by chemical, physical, or biological processes. This is occurring at the site and will be monitored. Institutional controls include engineering and land use controls like fences, signs, and environmental covenants that can be recorded with the property title. The project-specific design for these different cleanup methods will be determined during engineering design and permitting, expected to begin later this year or early next year. The cleanup action has been determined to be protective, permanent, and it meets the cleanup's requirements under MOTCA.
While each cleanup site is unique, and often not all contaminants are removed from the site while still protecting human health and the environment. Once the cleanup is final, will there be any contaminants left in the soil? And if so, will there be any risks to people playing and picnicking in this grassy area?
Yes, contaminated soil and groundwater will remain on the site following cleanup for some period of time. However, people and ecological receptors like plants and animals will be protected from exposure from those contaminants by the permeable vegetated soil cap and other elements of the cleanup. Testing that we have conducted on the site has shown that over time, contaminant concentrations are reduced by chemical, physical, and biological processes. We call this natural reduction of contaminant concentration natural attenuation. The rate of natural attenuation in groundwater will be monitored and reported to Ecology over time as part of the required compliance monitoring. Following cleanup construction, the entire park will immediately be suitable and completely safe for playing and picnicking on the grassy areas.
Great. Thanks, John, for answering these questions regarding the cleanup plan for this upland area. Now, let's head down the trail to our next tour stop.